Here's integrated 3. It's problem 3-120b. It's a closure problem. And it wants you to complete the square and then graph it. I would say the function, but this one's going to be a circle, so it's a non-function. So I just wrote down the original problem, but see how I left some spaces so that I can get the special number that completes the square. So if you remember with the algebra tiles, if I have a x squared tile and 6x tiles, then if I want to make a square out of it, I take the 6x tiles and I put half of them, on the side and half on top. And then whatever number this turns out to be, I can fill this in with ones to make it a perfect square. So this turns out to be 9. So that's why I added 9. If you don't want to draw pictures, you can just take half of the coefficient of x and square it. And that gives you, I call it the magic number. If I add a 9 here, I have to add a 9 to the other side of the equal sign. Okay, and then I did the same thing for the y's. I had y squared minus 8y. So I took my 8y and I split them in half, like half on each side. And then I see that the number of tiles I would need to complete the square would be 4 times 4, that's 16. So I added a 16 here, and I also added it to the other side. And now this is where people get confused. This is a perfect square trinomial, so I need to write it in, in perfect square form. So you know how like when you have an area model box, you can just write, this is x plus 3, x plus 3. You can see here that if I multiply this back out, it ends up here. So you don't have to do a diamond problem on this to get it in squared form. You can just take half of the coefficient of x and just put it in the parentheses. This one ends up being y minus 4 squared, and if you want to look at the picture, it's y minus 4. These are negative tiles, by the way, and this is y minus 4. So that ends up being y minus 4 all squared. And then when I add my 9 and my 16, it gets to be 25. And then I just have to graph it. So I know that this is h and k because it's x minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals r squared. So remember, we go opposite. So I got negative 3 comma 4 as my center. And then the radius is going to be 5. So I'm just going to go right by 5, left by 5, up by 5, and down by 5. And there it is.